Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about something that is partially a myth today, and it's one that we need to work on both dispelling as well as kind of pushing back against. And this is just my opinion, of course, but it's that powerlifters as a whole do not care about being in shape in terms of conditioning. That we don't care about being athletic and explosive and all these other things, that powerlifters just care about the big three and nothing else. And the truth is, that's just simply not true. Now, are there very, very large segments of the powerlifting community in that mindset? Yes. But what a lot of people aren't aware of is that there are a lot of powerlifters who are not in that mindset. And interestingly enough, in my experience, and this might actually surprise some people, I find the disparity between them is very, very large, largely biased in one direction, meaning most drug tested powerlifters, guys who are drug tested, actually tend to fall in the category of not caring about a lot of that stuff. Right? They tend to focus almost entirely on specificity. And I'm not saying there are not exceptions to the rule, because I do know exceptions to the rule. That's just been my experience. And you tend to find the guys who seem to care the most about being in shape oftentimes are the completely non-tested, multiply equipped guys, the guys who wear the squat suits and the bench shirts and knee wraps and everything. Is that ironically enough, those are oftentimes the guys you see who do the most conditioning work and do the most explosive training and do the widest variation in training styles in terms even inside of their own training blocks. Right? That's where you see the whole West Side system come out of. And that's kind of been the fascinating thing, because when you look at it from a health and an athleticism perspective, the training style is actually better doing a lot of that, because you're going to have better health, you're going to have better conditioning. You're actually probably going to be more well-rounded as an athlete, more well-rounded in your fitness. And it's kind of ironic that you oftentimes see the guys who reject that the most are the guys who compete in tested federations. And it seems almost because that came out of an era and out of groups of guys who were untested, that they just reject it on principle, the entire training system and philosophy, because of that, rather than thinking the other things through. But the truth of the matter is, it doesn't work the way that everyone thinks it does. They think that every powerlifter is just this big fat blob. And, we also have, of course, the whole internet aesthetics community probably think, even I in these videos, is a big flat blob, even though I've got a healthy athletic body fat. I'm actually trimming down further from here. Like medically speaking, I wouldn't be in any way. And I don't actually fit the stereotype that people have of the powerlifter with the big belly. Right? A lot of people think of fat powerlifters with a belly sticking out all the way past their nipples. Right? Okay, a little bit different. And having fat around their jaws, like their neck, actually having like a roll on their neck and everything. That's what a lot of people would think of as a fat powerlifter. They'll look at the world's strongest man competitors and think of that. But you know what? We're seeing those guys get leaner too, aren't we? We are. We're seeing more of those guys at the top who actually have less body fat. Not that that's the be-all, end-all, but I mean, you don't want to be obese. Like, you don't want to be 25, 30% body fat. That's not healthy. But the whole point here is that there's this idea, and again, it's also based upon a partially true stereotype. I'm not going to say this stereotype isn't based on anything real, that people just made it up, because you do see a lot of powerlifters will say stuff like, oh, anything more than 5 reps, that's cardio. Right? You hear that all the time. But people do need to understand there's a lot of us, and there's a lot of powerlifters who are way better than I am. Okay? So I don't want people to think that I'm just talking about myself here. No, there are guys who are way, way stronger than me who do 15 rep sets, 20 rep, 30 rep sets, do speed work, do plyometrics, drag sleds, do farmer's walks, do conditioning work. Okay? who do enormous amounts of conditioning work. All right? Who know that we need to be in shape. Like if we want to be the best, we need to be in shape. If we want to handle the workloads that we need to handle to be well-rounded and varied, we have to be in shape. And the shape means you're conditioning, not the weird bodybuilder idea of in shape of being so lean that you can't function or be athletic. I mean, now that's another stereotype that people need to know is true. Bodybuilders are not functional when they're contest ready. They are not athletic. They can't run. They can't do anything at those body fats. They can't jump. They can barely lift. They can barely stand. Okay, when they're that emaciated, like you don't want to be 6% body fat. It's absurdly unhealthy, and that's not athletic either. But you see a lot of power lifters out there, even if you're going to look at the body fat percentage, some of the really good guys, you know, when we start talking weight classes, we drop out of the 275 class, okay? Let's get under that. Let's start talking 242, 220, 198, 181, 165. Those weight classes. How many guys do you see who have a six-pack? You see a lot. The guys who are at the top. Okay, I'm not talking about the guy who places decent at regionals. You go to Worlds in any federation, and you'd be surprised. A lot of guys in those you know, lighter heavyweight and then middleweight type weight classes, pretty lean. They're not going to be bodybuilder lean. Occasionally you'll see one who is, actually. It does happen. But they're lean enough that, you know, you can see all of their abdominals. You can see their obliques separately. You can see their erectors and their low back. You know, that's reasonably lean, right? Most people wouldn't want to be leaner than that unless you've got some bizarre ripped fetish, right? Because it's not healthy. But you see that. And we do see a lot of power lifters who care about conditioning. But I think it's important for us to stress that, for people to know that that is there, and that's a very large segment of strength athletes and powerlifters even, who care about those things, who are in really good shape. You know, and it's funny because I'll get people who do the same thing. They'll come to my channel and they'll see some of these videos where I'm doing just the speed work or the max work or whatever. Like, oh, why do you only do low reps, or why don't you do cardio? And I laugh because people who look at my vlogs see me do 15 and 20 rep sets all the time. I do more 20 rep sets than I do singles, right? On an average week, everyone who watches my vlogs knows that. I do more 20 rep sets than I do singles. I do more 15 rep sets than I do singles. I do more 10 rep sets than I do singles. I also do conditioning work at least twice a week. And I don't mean easy conditioning work. I'm not talking about I get on my bike and pedal. I used to do that a long time ago. I'm not talking about list cardio. I'm talking about I get out and drag a sled. Right? I drag a heavy sled for conditioning. Okay? I do plyometric work. I do jump work. I don't do a lot of it, but I do some every week. So I do plyos, and then we do all this speed work. You'll see me doing a lot of this speed work here for explosiveness. Okay? I'm not unique there. I didn't invent this system of training. It's not mine. I use it. I've adapted it to my needs. But it's certainly not my creation. Okay? And it has a long tradition at this point. So again, people have these ideas of what they think powerlifters do. You know, and it's in different areas people have these different views. It's not based on reality. But by that same token, for those of us who are in that community, I think it is important for us to kind of stress to the other lifters to say, hey man, you should be in shape. Hey, you probably should do more than 5 reps. Maybe you should do some conditioning work. Maybe you shouldn't be eating a double bacon cheeseburger every night before bed with french fries and a milkshake. You know, maybe that's not a good idea. And, you know, not only does it reinforce that stereotype, but it's bad for their health. They're not doing themselves any favor. They're not helping themselves. They're not helping the sport, and they're not doing themselves any favor. You know, and it's unfortunate because I have friends who are like that. I do have some. I know guys personally who I've been to meets with and hung out with, and they're nice guys. But, you know, and some of them are really, really good guys too. But that's kind of how they do it. But I think it's important for us to kind of nudge them a little bit and say, hey man, you should do some conditioning work. Maybe you should do some 10 or 20 rep sets. Maybe you should try some chicken and brown rice. Not a bad idea. Help break up that stereotype and help save their life one day potentially. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.